Well, good morning, my ladies and my gents. I thought I'd put together a video that's a little bit different than what I normally do, but um, I've been meaning to do something like this for a while. And the other day and I've got everything wrote down because I've been working on my second cup of coffee, and names have always been bad. But the other day, I had a gentleman leave a comment by the name of Russell Poland. Left a comment on one of my big rig group build videos, and he really liked the walk around and kind of pointing out what some of the stuff is that are on trucks so that we could better detail our stuff if we actually know what they are and what they're there for. So that got me to thinking a little bit more closely about how to go about it, and I've decided to start on a new series of videos that talks about the ins and outs of the trucks and the purposes and what's there, what for, and all of this. And I thought today I would this for this episode one of Truck in Real Life or something. I don't have a good working title yet, but I thought I would include some of the what we go through, we're supposed to do every day, morning and evening, beginning or excuse me, allergies. But what we would go through on our, the inspections, either before we start our shift and after we end, or morning and evening, however you do it. And we have a governing body in trucking called the FMCSA. It's the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, and they print out a book. It's got a green cover on it, and it is all of the laws, rules, and regulations for basically all vehicles. It covers where you have your lights, what kind of lights are acceptable to put on your vehicle, whether it be a motorcycle, a car, a pickup, a city delivery truck, a big truck, farm tractor if it's going to be on the road much, this kind of thing, even down to the little, if you ever seen a tractor and it's got the little triangle on the back, it's, little triangle that it's a slow vehicle triangle, and it warns that the vehicle travels at less than 25 miles an hour, and that's required by the FMCSA. And they also spell out in detail what you go through, what you have to check. And I have section and paragraph numbers if you're interested. As for the pre-trip inspection, you have the 392.7, 392.8, 392.9, and 396.13. Out on the road, when you're stopped, now this is all the stuff that you go through, and I'll go through some of it in the video with the pictures. When you stop, say you have a lunch break, or you stop at a rest area to go use the bathroom, or some other such reason, you stop, get fuel. You are required en route with section 392.9 and 397.17 for your in route inspection. Basically, you're doing a walk around, making sure you don't have any flat tires, your lights are still working, you haven't had anything blow out, you don't have an air leak starting, something of this nature. It's basically a kind of like a brief wellness check. And then at the end of the day, it's all covered under 396.11. And we actually have to know all of this, and we have to know what it is we're looking at, the relationship with it, and as well along with all of the rest of everything. And but I went through and I picked out, oh golly, I don't know, 30 or 40 pictures, just for what we would check on in general in a pre-trip inspection. And I've got little arrows pointing to it, and I'm going to show them and talk about them as we're going along. And it'll give you an idea. It'll also show you the relationship of the various parts with all of their real life plumbing. Ye gods, you want to do all of the plumbing in a truck on an engine? You're going to spend several days running wires and hoses and pipes and this and that and this. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. Anybody old enough remembers Chicken Man on the radio will know exactly what I just did. So, anyway, let's go ahead and get started. This is going to be long enough as it is. So, but anyway, let's get going. Okay, for starters, this is a out of a 2005 Peterbilt 379. It's a Cat C15 motor, and it is a 475 horse motor. Now, when we say 475, like we talk about a 475 Cat, which is a Caterpillar, or a 4 1/4 Kitty, that's a 425 horse Caterpillar, stuff like that. That's what we're referring to, is the horsepower is what that number is. All right, here we're going to start going over some of the stuff you're looking at under the hood. Obviously, what I have with a little arrow is the power steering reservoir and the pipes leading to it and down to the steering box, which is just below it. And need to check that. You're checking that for the level. You're checking it for whether or not you pull the cap off, smell it, make sure it's not smelling burned. If it is, it indicates a problem with the power steering. Check while you're there, check the fan belts and make sure they're all good. They're not cracked, they're not coming apart, they're snug like they're supposed to be, and this type of thing. Okay, here we have the air compressor and some of the plumbing that goes with it. It's driven off the engine. You need to be sure that it's operating properly. There's some other little doodads to go along with it that you kind of need to look at and make sure they're all working right. And you can tell by how it's building air is whether or not it's working right. You need to check the lines to make sure they're not leaking and there's no visible oil dripping from anything that would indicate a problem. More stuff to look at. Here, it's kind of simple. We have two fuel filters. The one on the bottom is the inline filter that comes between the tank and the fuel pump. The one up above is after the fuel pump, and it filters more to make sure that you get clean fuel going into the engine. And you need to check around to make sure there's no fuel leaking, that the hoses are good. You need to kind of eyeball the hoses, make sure they're all good and not flopping around or rubbing or causing leaks. You can follow the lines along and you just kind of keep tabs with it. So just a matter of knowing what you're looking for and just a little bit of common sense there. Now this little doogad's an interesting little thing, and you also see off on the right the lower fuel filter, the first one. It's off of a different engine, or different truck, but it's basically the same type of idea. It is a remote greasing zerk, and the lines actually feed to various parts that are a bit harder to get to with the grease gun, so they put that in. Starting in the early 2000s, late 90s, I think, that you basically then just put your grease gun or grease hose or however you're doing it on the little nipple there, and you can then grease the part that you want to. When you're doing it, you do need to make sure that the everything is in reasonably good order. You don't have a lot of corrosion building up, and that the little grease hoses are not falling apart. Just a little bit something else you got to look at, but it's still an interesting idea. Okay, well, here we have a few things. Of course, the yellow arrows point to the fuel filters that we've seen in others. The little purple line goes to the oil filler neck up on the front. And that can get to be a bit of a pain. I've had to use a filter to put oil in these. This is on a Cat 3406E. 3406. 34 is the style of engine. The 06 is the number of cylinders. If you have a 3408, it's an 8-cylinder. The E is for electronic throttle as opposed to a manual throttle. And The interesting part is the blue arrow. That is pointing to a little knurl that is a primer pump, of all things. When you change an air filter or you run out of fuel and you have to take not air filter, fuel filter. When you have to take it off for whatever reason, or you run out of fuel and you fill things up, and you, of course, then have to put fuel in the fuel filter because it'll never fill up otherwise, you now have to get the air out of the system somehow. And this is one way that they did it for many, many decades, was they had a primer pump, and you unscrewed that little knurl, and then you just pumped and pumped and pumped and pumped until it got really, really stiff. And you finally get it in, and you screw it all the way in, then you try to start the motor. And sometimes you had to do it 2 or 3 times to get all the air out. But it's kind of like when you got air in your brake lines. It vapor locks the system, and nothing works. So a neat little idea that they finally done away with, but I think we should still have them. Okay, here we have a different C15 cat, and what you see here, of course, the yellow is pointing to the power steering pump. The blue line is the air compressor, and then up on top, on the red arrow, it shows the upper radiator hose leading to the top of the engine. Need to be sure and check when you're going around. Check the radiator hoses. Make sure there's nothing going wrong with them. They're not getting soft, indicating that there's a problem. They're fixing to break. Make sure and make sure they're not leaking or anything. This type of thing. But some of the other stuff that you have to check on. Okay, now we have a view of the Cummins N14 motor. Came out in the early 90s. It has electronic ignition, or an ECU, as noted by the purple line. Basically the electronic throttle. And they came out in the early 90s to replace the mechanical pumps. And it basically, it's what tells the motor how fast you want to go. It's like your carburetor linkage on your car, only, or like what you have set up in your car with the electronic ignition and all of that. But anyway, I digress. Of course, the blue line is the air conditioner compressor. Need to check those lines, make sure everything's like it's supposed to be, and that the all of this. The yellow is, of course, the air compressor. The white, fuel filter, and the red is the power steering fluid reservoir. It's an interesting placement for it, but it of course, you need to check that and all. It's like we've talked about before. So this is just under the left side of the hood. All right, this is the battery box. The little thing on the right side, of course, is the one of the latches, and you just simply pull on it, and it's like a big rubber band type rubber thing, and you just unlatch it, and that pulls off, and you look under it for the batteries. Need to pull that off and check under it, make sure that none of the that everything is still clean, none of the wires are broken, and make sure you don't have a battery cooking. When a battery starts shorting out inside, it will start swelling, and it will also emit an acrid odor that you can smell in the truck. And you do that, and right away there's a battery cooking. You open it up, and especially if you're going, stopped because you're checking things out, you can feel that the battery is hot. If they get too hot, they can burst or catch fire. So, and if they burst, of course, you got all that acid. If they catch fire, well, but you need to check those. And if you kind of know what you're doing, if you've got a battery cooking, you can always detach it, take it out of the circuit, so that it's no longer getting any juice from the alternator, and it'll stop it from cooking. But you then have to go get new batteries. And if one's starting to cook, you can pretty well guarantee that the others are going to cook soon. So if you have one going bad, might as well replace all 4. But that's another aspect that you can check on, and use your nose as well as your feel, your fingers, as well as the just the appearance. Okay, now we're looking at, this is the back axle, or the rear driver, what we call the rear, call the rear tires the rear drives as opposed to the front drives, which are on the front drive axle. But got a fair bit to unpack in this one, so let's get to it. Okay, first you'll notice the yellow line pointing over at the air connections. This is the air lines that supply the airbags with air. The white one, I'm not exactly sure what that is. It's not common. I'm not sure why this particular driver put that on there. Maybe a pressure relief valve, maybe redirecting the bleeding air when they kick it or turn it off. I'm not really sure what that's for. It's something I've never seen before on an air suspension. So, any of y'all know, let me know, because I have no idea. Okay, now we're showing parts of the suspension leveling valve system. This first photo has shows the connecting rod that goes down to the axle support down on the bottom, and it connects there and up to the arm, which goes over to the air valve, which then will, depending on its position, will either increase the air pressure in the bags to bring the ride height up, or conversely, if you've just dropped a trailer and you'll start hearing it going, it's leaking off the air that's in the bags because now they're too full. They have too much air pressure in them for being an empty truck. And it'll bleed the air back down to where the ride height is at a proper level, and it's an automatic system. Okay, now we move to the front axle. Off on the right, you'll see a little white line. That's pointing to one of the brake cans on the rear axle. Interestingly, it looks like it does not have a spring brake on that axle. Likely the parking brake, the spring brake, is on the front axle, not both of them like they're later required to be, both axles. But the other line, the yellow one, goes to the airlines that that's for the range selector, high range, low range, and it's done by the little knob on the side of the gear shift, and that tells it where it wants to be positioned at, and if you want to be in high range or low range. So. Okay, now we have the fuel tank. Check it, make sure you're not having fuel leaking from the stuff up on top or the fuel cap. Also check the condition of the straps, because those metal straps can break. I have had one that did, and I put it back up with a 2-inch ratchet strap to get to a place where I can get a new one put on, and DOT didn't say anything about it because I'm well within the weight rating and everything was all hunky-dory. But you don't want one of those breaking, because it can cause the other one to break, and all of a sudden you've got a fuel tank rolling down the highway unconnected, spewing fuel everywhere, and that becomes a hazardous waste cleanup, and it's big bucks for the company, it's big bucks for you, because now you've caused it, and there's fines, and it's a whole big hassle. So keep tabs on those. They can break. All right, here we have the right side storage box. It is, of course, under the passenger seat, and you want to make sure that little latch, the little twist latch on the bottom, is in good shape. If not, you need to have some form or something to keep it closed or keep it empty, because that can cause problems, and DOT, the trucking police, like to see things like that because it means that they get to write you a ticket. So later years, that area was replaced with the diesel particulate filter, the DPF, or as we call it, a soot trap. So we lost that piece of storage box there. So but something else you need to check on. Make sure it's in good shape. It's not falling off. It's not dragging the ground, that kind of thing. Okay, we've almost finished our inspection. Now we're looking at the right side of the motor. This is a 3406. No, this is the C15, excuse me. And of course, the blue line is the windshield washer reservoir. Other trucks have them in different places. Last couple of Pete's that I had, they were on the upper left side of the radiator as opposed to the firewall on the right side. purple is the turbo. The white line points to the alternator. Interestingly, the blue hoses are your heater hoses. You've got two sets, and the one set will run up to the cab heater, and then if you've got a sleeper, you'll have a second set that run back to the sleeper heater. Frequently, the ones on the back will have going to the sleeper will have a cutoff, so that in case you have a leak back there, you can cut it off and not have the antifreeze flowing through it and leaking. I did have one truck that had the cutoff valves on the cab heater as well, and that's how I regulated the heat in the truck, was because the heater valve in the truck wasn't any good, and I had to actually go through and start fiddle farting with the little handle to let a little bit or a lot of it, hot antifreeze to the heater core, and if it started getting too hot, I had to pull over and stop, open the hood, crank that off to turn the heat off. So yeah, it was something. All right, another view of the heater hoses. Of course, the yellow and the red are the cab hoses. One's intake and one's a return, and a blue line points to the sleeper hoses. Just another close-up view. And the white line points toward a train horn mounted up under the hood. Nifty little spot for it. All right, this is one of the trucks that I used for some of the stuff going on with it. And that one is let me get it notes here, is a 98 Pete with a 3406E 550 horse cat. And I like the colors on that one. That was a pretty one. But one of the things you want to do is walk around and take a look at just the general condition of what you see. Make sure everything looks right. You don't have anything obviously broken or hanging or something like that. Just part of your walk around. Okay, this one's the 94 Pete with the Cummins that we looked at a little while ago, and it has what is called a wet kit or a hydraulic system. And so another pretty truck. I liked it. All right, on the back you will see the blue lines point towards the pigtails, what we call pigtails, because they're all curlicue. They're usually vinyl plastic lines, and if you get too awful cold, they tend to break. Never have really cared for them. They get tangled easily, but that's what those are. And then that's the the electrical and air connections. And then on the little yellow line pointing down is the hydraulic hose that goes to the tank that's on the side. And the hydro tank is pointed out by the blue line pointing up. That's where that one is mounted. There are various ways you can mount hydraulic tanks on trucks, and it just depends on what you need, this type of thing. There's other various ways of doing it, so that's just one way of doing it. And here we have the PTO control, power takeoff. It's a system that's integrated into the transmission, and it actually drives a pump that goes to the hydraulic fluid. It's part of what we call a wet kit, which is the hydraulic system and all the assorted everything. But this will control how the hydraulic pump acts, whether it's turned on or off. Usually it's used in a dump truck where if you turn it one way, it will force hydraulic fluid into the ram to lift the bed. And if you turn it the other way, it can basically relieve the pressure, allowing the bed to come back down. That's just one thing that you can use it for. There's all kinds. But that's your PTO controller. Okay, this is a 1998 Pete. It's a day cab, and it has the wet kit on it, and it also it's got a cat 4. What is that? Oh, 490. I don't have my glasses on. I'm looking at my notes. It's got a Cat 3406E 490 horse motor in it. There's certain advantages to having a truck, even if you've got 600 horsepower available. If you turn it to where it's only a 490, there's certain warranty things that were going on at the time. If you went over 500 horsepower, you could get out of warranty. Sometimes you get an insurance break if you have a less powerful engine. But this is a day cab, and it looks like it's used primarily for a dump truck. So, okay, this truck has a half fender. Most of our kits come with quarter fenders, which just covers a little bit of the front. It's designed to mate up with the front of the trailer to help prevent spray from the tires. A half fender generally will be one where you've got like a flatbed or some kind of a dump trailer that will so just to keep some of the spray down from it, because you don't have the trailer coming as far up as you would with a quarter fender. And this one is looks like a poly or vinyl as opposed to the aluminum ones, like the fancier ones. My Revell Pete 370 or 359 kit that I just finished has got the chrome aluminum half fenders, which I thought was really neat. Okay, this is the back view of the day cab showing the hydro tank. Just another placement of where you can put it. And this one happens to be chromed. Some of them are black, some of them are metal. Just something else to check, make sure you're not having any leaks anywhere. And if you go to the MPC gravel trailer, you'll see that it comes with a hydro tank that the yellow line is pointing to on my version of the whole setup with the international, what is that, the 4300, I think it is, that I built few years ago, but it's just an alternate location of the hydraulic tank. And another version of a PTO controller with a gauge and everything. And on the back, you'll see where the pigtails are. You'll see the lines, and there's also a couple of hydraulic lines mixed in with the pigtails, the airline and electrical connectors. And so on the back, the black line, it points to a little electrical connector, and that is actually for the an additional power line for accessories to be connected up. It's usually a 4-pin, where the pigtail connector, electrical connector, is usually a 7-pin, and it's just something that you can provide for various, maybe lights on the inside of the trailer, or a backup light on the back end of your trailer, or you've got some type of an electric drive for something or another that you need to be able to switch on. Something like this. It's just an extra connector. And the white line pointing to that bar is the kingpin release lever. And you grab a hold of that and give it a yank, and it will unlock the jaws in the fifth wheel and allow you to release the trailer. One of the things you need to make sure of is that is set and locked, and it doesn't hurt to crawl underneath the trailer and actually shine a flashlight up onto the jaws themselves to make sure that they are latched. I have run into that problem where a fifth wheel didn't latch quite right, and I just hadn't looked at it, and I start driving off and I drop the trailer, and if it's loaded, it is a booger to get back up. So, but that's something else to note if you're doing a lot of detailing, is to be sure and include the fifth wheel release handle. Okay, final thing for today. We're looking at, the red circle first. We're going to look at that. That is actually an airline. And if you look over to the left side over there under the fifth wheel, you'll see what looks like some kind of a bar. That's actually a solenoid, air solenoid. And if you flip a lever on your dashboard that says, fifth wheel adjust or something, however it's worded, or just fifth wheel, that will actually unlock little jaws that hold the fifth wheel into place with those little teeth that you can see along the rail. And it'll actually activate it, and then you can have the fifth wheel moved forward or backward to redistribute weight. I'll cover that in a later video of how you figure that. But this one's getting along long enough. But that's, in the old days we had another deal, kind of like the fifth wheel release handle, that you could pull, and it would release the teeth that allowed you to adjust the fifth wheel position. The little blue pin on there is the fifth wheel jaws adjusting bolt, and it will, if you wind up getting where your trailer's starting to slop back and forth in the fifth wheel, the jaws need to be tightened up a little bit, and you can adjust that nut, though it's better to have a mechanic take a look at it, absolve you of some problem if it's done wrong. Also, if you're having a problem getting the fifth wheel to release, even though you've pulled the pin, sometimes it'll jam up and you can't even pull the pin. But if you give that a sharp whack with a hammer, make sure you don't hit your head on the trailer or something, but give that a smack with a hammer. Sometimes it can pop things and get free things, and then you can pull the pin and release the trailer. But if you have to go that route, you need to have your fifth wheel taken care of. Just another little tidbit, if you're actually doing some hyper detailing on your fifth wheel, is to also not just the release handle, but the adjusting bolt on the front. Well, there we go. Not so quick walk around from about all these various trucks and engines and things. Some of the stuff to look at while detailing a truck engine and truck frame. Future video, I will go into the interiors. I might do a separate one for the truck and a separate one for the sleeper. I don't know yet. Let's kind of see how that works out. This one got longer than I meant to, so I'm going to kind of keep this in a little bit brief. Couple of observations. Most trucks that we get in kit form, if they've got a cat motor, it's going to likely be either a 3406B or a 3408B. 34 being the series number, 06 cylinder, 6-cylinder straight engine. 08 is a V8, 8-cylinder, of course. And being the B indication is the mechanical fuel pump. And that's one detail that I missed when doing my big rig build that I could have put in, was a mechanical linkage, basically a bar between the throttle and the firewall. When you're doing a cat motor, in my 40 years, all of the cat motors that I have seen, I'm going to qualify that, have been yellow. Some say that they painted them white. I don't remember any being painted white or any other color. All of them that I have seen have been yellow. They might have been others, but that's what I've seen. Likewise with the Cummins motors, about all the kits that you're going to see are going to have likely to have a big cam motor in it. They didn't come out with the N series until later, and so big cam, I think they stopped doing that, started with the N series sometime in the mid-90s, I believe. I haven't looked it up to be sure, but they are generally tan. I use a Tamiya rattle can enamel TS46. It's either light tan or light sand, I don't remember which, but it is an ideal color for the got hair in my mouth, but it's an ideal color for the Cummins motors. It is just perfect. So there's that little tidbit. Most of the products on a Cummins motor are going to be tan. You are going to have a few little bits and parts mostly external plumbing parts that are not tan. Fan, of course, is going to be metal. The cat motors, you're going, like you saw one of them had a kind of an aluminum looking air compressor. Another one had a blue one for the air compressor. Uh, they're kind of, best bet is to go ahead and go online, look it up, uh, to be sure you get the coloring right, as well as any piping that you want to put in. Uh, Doing this video, I was looking for trucks to use, and I'm mainly looking for Peterbilts. I've spent most of my 4 decades in trucking in Peterbilts of one kind or another. 379, 389, 377, a 589, and a 5, what is that newest one? 587 or something, I don't remember. Some of the new slope nose. But anyway, I found a place called chicagomotorcars.com, and I've got it written down here, and sent them an email asking if I could use some of their trucks in this video, because, you know, wanted to do it for information. And the guy said, sure, as long as, I've got a guy named Chris call me, and we talked for, I don't know, 15 minutes. And he said, as long as you're not trying to sell one of my trucks, he said, have at it. And I told him, nope, it's all information to do it. But he has got a lot of different trucks that are on there. Most of them have been sold. There are still some, I imagine, that he's got for sale. But the ones I used have all been sold. But go there, you go to some of these other sites. Well, you know the drill. Anybody that's been doing this for any time, go online and you'll find all these different sites that have got great photos of the interior, the exterior, the engine compartment, the frame, you know, this kind of thing. And trucks are no different. And there's a lot more involved in a truck, simply because of what the difference in the vehicle between a passenger car and an 18-wheeler. There's a lot of difference there. But all in all, like I said, do your research. I hope this helps to at least show what is going on, what things are, why these things are where they are, and what the relationship is to each other. So anyway, like I said, this has gone on long enough. I've bored y'all long enough. I'm gonna get this thing finished up and shut down. And I got a 76 Dodge Dart that I'm going to build up. And over at vcgresins.com, I think they're out of stock right now, but he'll have some coming out again soon. But I picked up a Slant 6 Turbo I'm going to put in this just for giggles. And I might use some VCG wheels. Let me see. I got them sitting here. Mickey Thompson wheels and tires, 10.5 inch. I might use them on it, just for giggles. The Slant 6, and I got all kinds of parts over here. When I get done, I will show you all everything I did. While you're at it, go check out old Josh over at vcgresins.com. Go shopping. Keep an eye out, because he's got some new stuff coming out this weekend. And while you're on his site, be sure and sign up for the newsletter. Just put your email address in, and every so often, a couple of times a month, he's send out a newsletter with some upcoming stuff or some deals or news of what's going on with the site. Like over Christmas, he basically shut the shop down for a couple of weeks and took some vacation time, well-deserved vacation time. But sign up for the newsletter. You'll get some advance notice of some really cool stuff coming out. And take a look at his site because he's got some new stuff coming out this weekend. I got a notice of a couple of days ago. And you'll also get a hint of some of the stuff that is coming up soon. So, but then when you go to checkout after you bought everything, you're going over to checkout and you see a little box that says promo code. Use my code JESTER10, JESTER 10, and save yourself 10% off your order. It'll save you a few bucks. But I'm going to shut this thing down. I've been yammering long enough. So, B-Tex, signing out.